Welcome to the Hacking Your Health podcast with Ben Canning and Dave Kennedy. Two guys heading out to hack body, mind, business, and beyond. We are here to provide a single source, bullshit-free guide to understanding your body and how you can live better for longer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Ben Canning.
And I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is another episode of Hacking Your Health.
It is. It is another. I feel like we just did one on Monday.
We did?
We did do one on Monday, yeah.
Yeah, but it's Friday.
Is my video glitching a little bit in and out?
Yeah, I think there's a glitch in the matrix.
Huh. Interesting.
But Riverside tells me that it's recording in better quality than I can see it in, so it's all good. So what's up?
I keep seeing it. No, not much, man. Everything's good. Had a good solid week of training and looking forward to the weekend. I got pretty much all day, I think tonight and tomorrow, Mason's baseball games. So that'll be fun.
Full setup with the tent and the cooler and all that.
Oh yeah, tent, cooler, got to have the the fan with the misting and all of that other stuff that goes into that. But yeah, it'll be good. Mason actually yesterday threw 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts in the inning to close the game to win. So that was really awesome. But
Nice,
it's
cool.
always good, I got my lift in, then I got to take my boy to baseball, and then my girl to volleyball, which was on Wednesday. And of course, I had to stop at GNC to get some new stuff. Didn't need anything, but she's like restocking. I'm like, no, this is just me testing out new things.
It's that market research. That's called
market research. Yes. But no, other than that, everything else is great. Can't complain.
Cool.
How about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. Juggling a lot of life situations at the minute, but everything's good. I'm actually in the process, and I have these stickers here. So for the 31 people that watch on YouTube, the preview of the new stickers. So I'm putting packs together, new welcome packs for the up and coming relaunch of the We Hack Health group coaching. So that's what I'm glitching. There's just loads of shit over here that you can't see, but it's exciting putting it together, and I'm looking forward to getting that set up and getting everybody on board and stuff like that.
Can we talk about the super secret release that you've been talking about ordering potentially?
Sure. I actually have. I just got the confirmation order for it from it today.
So we'll talk about it. It's you, man.
So as majority of people know, Dave and I are a fan of a very good quality, well-branded protein shaker. So I have been back and forward with, I'm pretty sure, somebody who doesn't really speak very good English, trying to coordinate what I wanted the perfect shaker. And I kept going, and I was almost there. And I was like, I literally picked out the Blue Nutrition one that I have out of the cupboard, and I was like, that's a 700ml one. They're going to give me a 500ml one. So I got them to get the 700. Long story short, they're ordered. They'll be here within 6 to 8 weeks, which is plenty of time for me to send you
branded protein shakers.
Yeah. So if anybody wants one, send me a tweet or somewhere.
So I used to get most of I still do. Excuse me. Like Jay Cutler's website has their Generate and Repair, which are 2 of my favorite, like amino acid / dextrose based, like supplementation. So like I'll take Generate in the morning if I'm fasting, so that I don't introduce any calories, especially if I'm doing like HIIT training, stuff like that. And then the other one, Repair, is essential amino acids plus dextrose, which is what your body can use basically to replenish glycogen stores in your muscles. And so I order those all the time. But if you're above, like, let's just say $150, you get a free protein shaker as part of it. So I have like 700 Jay Cutler protein shakers, and they're like these little rinky dink, plastic protein shakers. So then I started, going to I don't have it here, but I just had it recently. That's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, which I've ordered like 4 of those. Those are amazing, good quality. But those are always important to have quality protein shakers that you like repping either at your gym or as you're getting your protein in every day. I'm a big fan. So
yeah, well, I was over at Matt's wedding obviously at the weekend, and I was laughing because he says that they've got 3 glasses in the house and they just drink out of protein shakers. So it's the same. You open the cupboard and it's just protein shakers. I'm like, you need a decent sized one. Like 500 mils wouldn't have cut it for me. So
Yeah.
they'll be here within 6 to 8 weeks. I just hope they are what they look like on the screen. But I'm excited for them because I know that the Shaker 360 ones are good quality because that's the same ones that the Blue Nutrition one have. And it'll be cool for us. And I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'm probably just going to send you 500 Shakers.
And they will all get good use. Yeah, I feel like I go through like 50 a day. So that's funny. That's awesome. That'd be cool. That'd be exciting.
Yeah. But apart from that, I don't have any other secrets up my sleeve. I don't think. Not at the minute.
Well,
anyway.
what's this with the deadlift today?
Yes. So anyway, and again, a sort of funny note. So I've obviously been coaching with James this is my 5th week.
I need to lower my desk so I look taller than you really quick. Hang on.
No, I've specifically put mine down. So I am taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been coaching with James for about 5 weeks, and it just from different travel plans and different being away and other things, whatever has happened on today's Friday, right? So whatever has happened on Friday, I haven't got my Friday lift in. So I clicked into the plan. I was like, I haven't seen this workout before. I started writing it out. I was like, I don't know about this. And anyway, what you're asking about the deadlifts is it was dead stop RDLs. So dead stop is basically like if you imagine if you're in a bench press and you have the safety bar set up and you come down and you actually stop. So you stop the bar and then you have to use your full force to contract up out of it. So basically the idea of it is you don't use any bounce or elasticity of the muscle in the movement. You stop and have to contract up out of it. Now, that's fine and makes sense to me in a bench press, but I've never done it in a pulling sort of movement. So you imagine an RDL, the idea is you start at the top and come down in the bottom. So I was starting at the bottom and the idea was you're going to get your hamstrings and your glutes firing from the bottom up, so they're doing the work. You're not using any sort of momentum, so you literally stop, come up out of it, and you didn't want any like full hip extension at the top, so there was a lot of pressure and contraction through, I can already feel it, like traps and upper back. So it was a completely different movement. I was like setting the bar up, had no clue what I was doing, but it was a cool movement because I think a lot of people struggle feeling hamstrings and glutes in that RDL movement because you're thinking about it the wrong way around. Whereas if you're at the bottom, you physically have to use your hamstrings and glutes to contract up out of it to get out of it. So nowhere near the weight that I could do in a regular RDL, but definitely fun to do a new movement. And that's one thing I like about having somebody else being in control of my stuff, because there are infinite amount of things that they can program that I can learn from that then you guys are fortunate enough to get to do down the line.
It usually equates to it's going to be in Dave's training plan here in a little bit if it made me feel very painful. I used to do a lot of the with the nipper training ones. You do the pause ones where you'd go up just a little bit on the deadlift and you'd pause there for like 3 to 5 seconds and then you do the rest of the movement to kind of get that explosive movement for your muscles as you're going up. And I really enjoyed those as well. Just kind of different things. But as you first do them, it's like again like you're learning a brand new exercise. It's all awkward as hell, and you're always trying to improve on it and. Try to figure out the best way.
RDL is one of my favorite movements, and just it's like literally thinking about it in reverse, and it was just a strange way to set it up. But I understand the concept of it now and how it works. But
is there some music in the background or something?
I don't think so.
Okay, I thought I'd keep hearing music. Maybe not.
Is there any music in the background where you are?
No, I took my headphones off. I'm like, I don't know. All right, hey, whatever.
But yes, anyway, so learning that in almost reverse. It was good. It was good fun to do it. There were a couple of other exercises. A lot of stuff that James does, especially at the start, and I've sent you across and put into the client chat some like core and like lower back and like actual spine movements, which is obviously a total different way of training. But 90% of the people that I speak to have some sort of back injury along the way. It doesn't always come from having a weak back, but somewhere in that chain. So his goal is obviously to strengthen around that. And, obviously...
Dude, your back is freakishly strong, though.
Thanks. The being able to strengthen the other bits, because obviously in those big compound movements you only move in a specific pattern. So it's like the one that I put into the client group earlier on, like being able to sort of hold that slightly flexed spine for a period of time under load instead of just like doing it as a split second at either end of a deadlift or an RDL or whatever. So it's just an interesting sort of, I'm going to save the spinal rotation one until I'm actually with you, because it's so fucking hard to explain, but it's such a...
I saw the video on the in the one channel. I didn't see the whole thing yet, but...
Unique movement, but it's the rotation and a close cable stick, so we'll do that whenever I'm over.
Good.
Can you hear that or no?
I can't hear that.
It's definitely working. I can hear it.
Good. So we had a little bit of an issue. I switched to the Rodecaster Pro 2, and there's
technical difficulties today.
Loop issue, so I'm kind of hack jobbing it where I have my headphones go through my computer while I figure out the post processing issue on this. So
maybe that's where the music's coming from. Are you playing something like?
It's not. I'm not playing anything in the background. I got all my channels are all 0. At least I know that much about this. But hopefully my audio quality. So does my audio quality sound pretty good?
Yeah,
I'm using
it. It's good.
Good. Yeah, different mic and good. Just playing with different types of things here, and then obviously
you son of a bitch.
You know what? I'm gonna let you perfect it and go through all the shit shows, and then I'll order whatever I need to order so that we have the same setup. I think that's probably
well. It's funny. One of my guys that works with me, Martin, who runs my consulting divisions, our chief security officer over at TrustedSec. He's a huge audiophile. Put together shows for big bands and was like a roadie and all this other stuff. And he's huge on sound. So I asked him, hey Martin, how does my sound sound? He's like, it's good for an amateur. I'm like, okay, asshole. So he's been actually helping me out with some of the fine tuning of the sound and everything and getting it to where I need to be. So we'll get there.
He obviously at that level hears things totally differently.
He does, 100%. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you need to cut down the 500 frequency range. I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds great. How do I do that? Yeah. So I had to hit 1 button or 2 buttons for that to work. So, but no, it's been good. But that's awesome. I tell you, different movements and exercises when you're going through those are awesome, and you start to figure out that you like a certain movement more than others. So I hate to say this, but the double rope I don't like as much now.
Because you have something that's better?
Because I like the single rope. I feel like I can isolate, my triceps much more and not use, as much, pulling down with my back potentially as a crutch, which I shouldn't be doing in the first place. But I feel like I can isolate my triceps a little bit better just doing a single rope tricep extension versus using the double rope to kind of come back. So instead of, coming back like this and then kicking, if you're listening, taking two ropes and kind of putting them together so you have a longer rope, and coming down and kicking your arms back, instead you just grab the rope and you come down this way and isolate your tricep as you're coming down. I feel like I get a much better, much better burn on the muscle that way than I do with the double rope. So it's just kind of cool. Different ways our bodies, move and which ones we like better. But I'll tell you the double cross one where you're just holding the things and you come down. That's a monster move. I love that. The cross cable extensions. Those are incredible as well too.
The thing of it that says, as with everything, there's levels to all of these things. So obviously, whenever we unlocked the level of the double rope, it was new and it was exciting. And I'm like, yeah, that's class. And then there's obviously ways that we can, there need to be ways that we can progress into it. So even you talking about the single arm, I already know what's the next thing that I need to give you that will push that little bit further. So it's good. Well, it's good for me to be able to have that, because if I was giving you everything at the start, we get to the point of oh, that's it, don't know anything.
That's all I got.
But yeah, being able to use cross cables is good because it follows a nice resistance path. And that's a lot of the biomechanics stuff that I was going through with James. It's about understanding where the force is, understanding where your body or where friction is coming and how that adjusts the force. So it is literally science, it's physics, and it's cool to sort of see. And whenever you start to understand that in terms of levers and moment arms and stuff like that, you start to look at movements and training that a little bit different. So even we're talking about crossbody lateral raises, the lion ones. Now somebody on Twitter tried to give me a hard time about it and that it was just front delts. I was like, I'm not getting some front delts at all, but we'll talk about that at a different time. We know how we feel about unsolicited exercise execution advice on Twitter.
It's the worst.
But yeah, so basically what you want to find out is where you're the weakest, which is where your arm is fully extended at the bottom of the movement. You want the resistance to be as little as possible. As it comes up and further away, you want the cable, I know that nobody's going to understand this, so they can't see it, you want the cable to be as close to your body and as close to your arm as possible, so you want it to follow that same line. So then as it gets harder and you get weaker, stronger, you go weaker, stronger, weaker, you want it to match that same sort of profile. So whenever you start to be able to break that down and understand it, it's quite cool.
Yeah, I had a solid push session today. I'm still kind of milking my shoulder a little bit sore from. I was doing a Smith press a few weeks ago and ended up tweaking Smith bar bench press, and I tweaked my right in between my shoulders, so it's been nagging me a little bit. But this week was much better. I skipped the dips today just because I was feeling a little bit of stretch in there, but otherwise solid. I was going heavy, back to heavy again. So I had the 110 pound dumbbells. I haven't graduated to the 125s yet, although I'm sure I can sneak out like 5 or 6 of those if I started off with it. But those dumbbells are awesome. Like, it's funny because they're solid and you can drop them, which is great. You're not screwing up your shoulders as you're trying to push them back. And you can tell where I've dropped them because it has like a rogue impression into the flooring on the mat where I dropped them at. So, solid session today on push, and love push day is my favorite by far.
Push day is my favorite day. I'm on it tomorrow. And actually, something I was reading. Obviously, generally, whenever you start in a dumbbell press, and this would be something I think that you'll enjoy doing. So, whenever you start in a dumbbell press, you start at the top of the movement. So the guy I was watching on YouTube, he was like, you want to get used to starting in a difficult position. So starting at the bottom, like that's where the most difficult position is. So I'm going to try that for tomorrow. Obviously, you're going to have to adjust the weight accordingly, but it's like, you want to get stronger in that bottom part of the movement where it's hard, because that's where you're going to get the most growth and development. So again, just different ways about thinking things, and, sort of taking tips from other people, see what they're doing. This guy's an absolute unit. So, I mean, he obviously knows what he's doing.
Knows what he's talking about.
Yep. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about routine, routine, morning and evening routine. I'm going to have to credit Matt on this. He refers to routine, morning and evening routine, as the bookends of your day. So you imagine if you don't have one bookend, all the books are going to fall off the shelf. So that pretty much visualizes what we're trying to do in terms of both morning and evening routine. I'd also like to caveat this by, there are times in life, or there have been times in life, that I have been like my morning routine to a T, because it has had to be, just with whatever else has been going on. Sometimes I have like 3 or 4, maybe 5 things, and sometimes I have like 15 things that I go through in a routine. So I'm not claiming to be, I do all these things every single morning and always have done. Sometimes I do a lot. Sometimes if I need to scale it back, I know the ones that I need to do or that I feel like are the most beneficial. So for me, there are ones that are essential. There are ones that I would like to do more often, but not always have the time or get in to do them.
Yeah, when you look at routines in general, like, I like to classify them as like must-have routines and like-to-have routines is kind of how I look at it. I try to get the like-to-haves, but sometimes maybe my schedule doesn't accommodate that. And those like-to-haves would be like, hey, eating a Tavala or a pre-planned meal. Maybe I'm out and about and I can't get to those, right? But there are immutable things that I will not budge on from a regiment perspective, and routines that I put myself through to ensure that I have consistency throughout the weeks, and then that eventually equates to months and years. And it goes into building habits too, right? I mean, these are habits that you build over time that become normal routines. So if you look at kind of the science behind habits, it's building those routines over time and making that a routine that you do on a regular basis, and that becomes part of your daily life. But it takes time to get there, right? It's not going to happen. Your mind isn't going to be like, oh, this is normal for me to do every single day, until you do it every single day for a few weeks, a few months, a few years, and etc. And then it becomes second nature, like flossing. I still can't get that into a routine, right? I've tried, the day before I go to the dentist, I try to floss really quickly. And to pretend that I've been flossing that entire time, which obviously they know very quickly that I haven't been. But brushing my teeth, though, no issue, right? Obviously, brush my teeth in the morning, brush my teeth in the evening. That's a regular cadence that I can do. Flossing, for some reason, has never become a habit for me. Sorry if I'm grossing people out there. I try to floss. I got the little water picker thing, at least to try to help out a little bit there. But I have great teeth. I have great teeth. Like, my teeth are fine. Like, I haven't had any cavities. So hey, I guess I'm okay there. But the habits are things that we form and that eventually become, to me, routine. So for this discussion, how do we build out routines that are things that we won't compromise on, right? And,
I think the first sort of point to note is, if we take this right back to what Jocko says in terms of discipline equals freedom, this is where routines and habits come in, because if you have the discipline to stick to the routines and stick to the things that you do either in the morning or the evening or whenever it is, it then gives you the freedom to do the other things. And the best way that I can describe that is, at night, I'll set out my supplements for the next morning. So I'll set out, my greens powder, a shaker, everything I need from a supplements perspective that are left there for myself in the morning. So they're there for my future self. to get them done. So I have the discipline to do that in the evening, so that I have the freedom in the morning to not have to do that. So if I need to do something else, or I sleep in, or I'm late, or whatever happens, I've already got that done. So having the discipline to do it in the evening instead of like at nighttime being like, oh, I'm too tired, whatever excuse, and just go to bed, and then it's a shit show again in the morning. So having the discipline to do those things in the evening gives me that bit more freedom in the morning. That's just one example, but that's how you can sort of think about them, I guess.
Yep. Sorry, did you hear that?
You go
Did you hear, like the little dot dot?
Nope.
Okay, good. Never mind.
You really are having technical difficulties today.
No. I was actually going to message Riverside as a technical support, and then it started like sending me a bunch of dings, so I had to mute. Anyways, sorry. So when you start looking at for me, like the types of routines that I push myself through, when I first wake up, that is immediately when I take my medicine in the morning. So when I take medicine, I take thyroid medicine, so that my T levels maintain a certain level. But I also, have testosterone replacement. So every Monday and Friday, those are habits that I have to do, where I do the, subcutaneous and intramuscular injections for testosterone replacement. And those are things that I need to do. Now, what's interesting about routines is that I have a routine that I typically on HIIT training days, if I'm doing HIIT training, I will work out in the morning, and then if I have a lift, I'll do that in the afternoon. But if I'm not doing HIIT, I wake up at 7 a.m., and by 7:30, I need to be out in the gym so that I can start to do my lift to get my lift done in the morning, so that I'm ready to go, because I prefer lifting first thing in the morning every single time. I hate lifting at night.
Weird.
I can't believe, when do you like lifting in the afternoon, right?
2 p.m. is my favorite time to
2
lift.
p.m.? See, I like waking up, get it done, knock it out, feel refreshed for the day, and then I don't have to worry about it the rest of the day of like trying to cram it in during a certain period of time. I will get it done in the afternoon sometimes if I can't, if I have something in the morning, for example, that I have to get through. But I really enjoy the mornings is when I go through it.
Yeah, I think, exactly what you said there. Like, if you look at if we're talking about how to build out routines and how to build out habits, look at the things that you already do or the things that you have to do. So obviously every morning you wake up, so that's the first one, and then start to stack habits in and around that. So if you're saying you wake up and you take your medicine and there's something else that you want to add into that, like flossing, then you say, okay, right, I'm going to tag this on to that, and that's how you do it. Instead of trying to create this new time that you do something, it's like,
right,
I already do this and I already do this. So after this, I'm going to try and do this next thing, and setting yourself a cue for that makes it a little bit easier. So for example, if we talk about you taking your medicine and we talk about flossing, if you have the space where your medicine is, set the fucking flossing things on top of it. So you have to do, because it's on top of it. Obviously, yes, okay, you could move it, but it's a reminder, it's a visual reminder that it's there for you to do it. And how I relate that back to myself is whenever I try and get myself into the habit of reading, obviously my first reaction whenever I come into the office is, right, okay, do work, whatever. If I set a book on my keyboard, I'm going to lift the book first and go, right, okay, I'll go and read 10 pages before I come in and start doing work. Yeah. It would be a very rare occasion that I lift the book and fuck it out the window because I want to do something else. Like, it's there and it's in front of me, so it's about making it as readily available as possible right there in front of you.
Yeah, and those types of small changes make a big impact. Like
small
for
things
example,
are big things. We said that a million times.
Small things are the big things. Yeah. That's right. Like a good example too. I take CJC 1295, which is natural peptide for human growth hormone production. So it basically tells your body, hey, produce more human growth hormone. My IGF-1 levels were substantially low along with my testosterone. So that's a part of the testosterone replacement therapy that I take. Now, that has to be refrigerated. Part of my routine is I got a small refrigerator that's electric that plugs right into where I take my medicine in the morning, and it's part of my normal routine of when I go and do the rest of the stuff. So making it as easy and accommodatable as possible, if that's a word, is
it is now.
Okay, it is now. Yes, it is.
Good.
But I continue to kind of build those habits in, and that starts to become the routines that I do on a regular basis. And I think humans are interesting because when they do something new, it's foreign to them. There's a little bit of probably fear, anxiety, maybe some emotional responses, or especially if it's in a public location that isn't part of your tribe or people that you're comfortable with. You start to be a little bit more apprehensive of the environment that you're in. So, I think, when you start to do things more and more, they'll become more and more common to you. the more easier it becomes for you to build that into what you do every single day from a routine perspective. At night, another great example, I try to finish up any type of eating prior to, usually 7 or 8 o'clock at the very latest. So, I'm done eating. And then usually an hour later, I'll take my supplements at night, which usually consist of my On It Night Pack, which is a combination of like magnesium, fish oils, things like that. And then also take, a multivitamin. And then from there, kind of let it digest, an hour or so before I go to bed. And that's usually my routine. I go brush my teeth and everything else, get ready for bed, kind of unwind. I try to stay away from any type of light sources. I try to kind of just start to unwind my body and get it ready for that nighttime cycle that I'm going to go through. So, so those routines that we start to do both morning and evening, but also throughout the day, that can make a big difference for us in kind of what we do day in and day out.
Yeah, and I think, even you talking about your evening routine, the thing that you do that is the constant that you have to do is go to sleep. So then you start to work backwards from that. Okay, half an hour before I go to sleep, what I do, an hour before I go to sleep, what I do, an hour and a half before I go to sleep, what I do. And I think that's where people often struggle. And the majority of people who listen to this, and the majority of the people that I coach or have coached at some point will struggle with sleep, getting enough sleep, getting to bed, whatever it is. Especially if the nature of like work and what you guys do, I understand that sleep sometimes takes a back seat. But the thing that I always try and get in, and I'm guilty of this too, but the thing that I always try and get into their head is, if you set yourself these sort of boundaries or rules whenever it comes to sleep, it will make the process much easier. So, you're talking about stopping eating at a certain period of time, because that's going to allow you to get over to sleep quicker. Because if you eat closer to your bedtime, it's harder for your body to digest, and your body's just not going to want to go to sleep. You're going to be roasting, and it's not good for anybody involved. The same with the light sources and screen time and stuff like that. Like if you set yourself a cutoff point, set it and stick to it, because again, that comes down to, it sort of reinforces that relationship with yourself. So if you set yourself something and you don't stick to it, then you're the person that doesn't do it, and then everything you try and do on top of that just becomes, you just fall into that, oh, well, it doesn't matter, I didn't do this, so I'm not going to do that. Whereas if you set yourself rules, boundaries, and actually stick to them, then it'll make the whole process that little bit easier. So set yourself boundaries whenever it comes to sleep, as well as in the morning, but definitely whenever it comes into the evening and you're sleeping, whatever it is, things that will help you get your body to a state that it wants to actually sleep. One of the things that I've sort of been reading up on recently about sleep is we often get too fixated in needing to get 7 or 8 hours sleep or whatever it is, and that there's a lot of sort of research out about how that can almost be counterproductive. Because I don't know about you, like if I'm in bed, if I've taken modafinil that day and I'm in bed and I'm just not going to go to sleep, like if I try and get to sleep, it's not going to happen. So I need to just come out of that and accept that, okay, I'm maybe going to go to sleep a bit later, and that's absolutely fine, but focus on the quality of the sleep that I get rather than the quantity at those times. Then the way that they sort of describe to do that is allow yourself the window to have the maximum amount of sleep. So if it is 8 hours, know that you have that window available there, that, okay, if I'm feeling tired right now and I want to go to bed, I can do it, but don't put the pressure on myself to do it just because I need to get the set number of 8 hours. The other thing that I think is important to keep, or that I know is important to keep as regular as possible, is the time that you wake up, because that's going to dictate absolutely everything else throughout the day. So the time that you wake up is going to dictate the time that you start to feel hungry, the time that you start to peak in terms of energy, all these things to do with work. So if you can keep that as consistent as possible, regardless of what time you go to sleep, as long as you can get up at the same time every single day, that will sort of dictate what the rest of your day looks like.
Yeah, and planning around those obstacles is extremely important, right? There's life throws wrenches at you all the time. There might be a time where there might be a time where I'm not going to be able to. There might be a time where I'm not going to get my lift in the morning, so I get in the afternoon. There might be a time I don't get that lift at all that day because I'm just so busy with things that are going on. But I'm going to make it up, and I'm not going to sit there and make an excuse for not doing it in the future. So we have to recognize that while life throws us different curveballs and wrenches, in our process, those routines, if we stop doing them, they become less and less of a routine, right? So if I stop taking my thyroid medicine, I'm like, it's just one day. It's just a second day. It's a third day, whatever. I don't even deal with it anymore. That's how I used to deal with things, especially when it came to like lifting and fitness. I would, go through a routine. I'm like, I have like a solid, awesome month of just working out. I'm like, I'm going to take a break. It's just one day. And, I'm not feeling it today. It's just 2 days. Who cares? Then it's like a month later. You're like, I should probably get back into that working out. I'll do it tomorrow. Then I'm gonna do it the next day. Oh man, shoot, I got so much going on today. I can't do that today. I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow. And then you forget about it. And then it's like 6 months later, you're like, I gained 70 pounds and I'm horrible and I feel terrible about myself. You can't let yourself get there, right? You can't let yourself get out of that routine, because when you get out of that routine, well, in the grand scheme of things, one day is not going to hurt you. But getting out of that routine consecutively or multiple times over and over and over again will start to become a problem, and you start to lose the traction that you're starting to build. And the reason why you're doing all this, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly why it's Friday today and we're doing the podcast, because I rescheduled from Wednesday because it was literally the only time in the day that I could get my workout in, and I knew if I hadn't got that, then I wouldn't train the next day, and then the next day, and I go down that's why I haven't trained on a Friday for however many weeks, and I haven't done that pull session. So, being able to maneuver things if possible, and again, to credit Matt in this, his sort of rule of thumb whenever it comes to training is it's okay to miss one day, but sure as fuck don't miss the second day, because that is whenever you start to spiral out of control. So if today all hell breaks loose and the shit hits the fan and you cannot get your workout in, that's okay. Just do it tomorrow, and do not miss it tomorrow no matter what's going on. Make it a priority the next day.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I will hear very commonly where, folks will make the excuse, and to me, it's an excuse that I just had too much family stuff going on. Right. And, I understand family is number one, most important. Right. But you also have to recognize taking time for yourself is equally as important to be there for that family. And so if you're just so busy with your family, just, make sure you're carving out enough time to be able to do this. Like, it's known in my family that I'm going to spend at least an hour or two a day working out. Like, it's just going to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Sundays are my day off. So Sundays, free game to schedule whatever. But, typically in the morning on Saturday morning, typically in the morning on, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, I'm going to be in the gym, putting the time in to get my workout done. Mondays and Wednesdays are my hit training. Mondays are my arms. Saturdays are my heavy legs and arms day. And so, again, my family is aware that I'm dedicating time for myself. And this is what I do for myself, my mental health, my physical health, my looks and physique, my objectives and goals in life are due to me being able to do this.
And I lift off.
That's right. It's gonna happen. Maybe in some areas. I'm not gonna beat your back.
The thing about it is, a part of the reason, a big part of the reason that I know you do that is for your family as well. So yes, okay,
Yeah.
like you're spending an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, but it's so you can be a better parent. Number one, like in the right here and now, but number two, longer term, like thinking, in the future to be around for as long as you possibly can, 137 years old, whatever it is. But like,
137. I'm going for like 230, 230.
Whatever, I'll beat you there. But yeah, so being able to obviously,
just got to eat liver, right? Liver all day.
Yes, liver king and bull's
Liver king.
testicles,
Yes,
as we
bull's
know.
testicles. Yes,
Yeah.
Yep.
But yes, so obviously, like coaching the basketball teams, being able to go to the baseball game, like, you do all those things so you can take part. Like former Dave, Big Dave, wouldn't have done any of those things. So,
Nope.
Okay, yes, it's maybe seen as selfish externally, or could feel selfish that you're taking, an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is out of your day for yourself. But then the quality of your life is improved, and then the quality of everybody around you's life is improved.
Yeah, and and I think my family definitely recognizes that. My family recognizes that, hey, this is something that Dave loves doing and enjoys doing. So that's one thing, right? And two, he's doing this to be not Big Dave from before, and to be fit and
Different
healthy,
kind of Big Dave.
different type of Big Dave, to help out that way. So again, it's making the time and prioritizing yourself for those routines. And if you don't spend time on those routines, they are no longer routines. They are just things that you by happenstance do, or when you're feeling like it. I've mentioned this before on the podcast. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling. Okay. I will go and do it regardless, because it's my routine. It's my habit. It's what I've already said I'm going to do. And I go and I do it. Do I love waking up at 6:30 in the morning and having to go and lift when I have a busy day ahead because I have to get it out even early? No. But I know I have to get it done because that's what I have to do. Will I wake up at 5 o'clock to go and do it? Yes, because that's what I have to do. If that day is so busy that I have a 7 o'clock meeting, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to get my lift in, and I'm going to make sure I'm ready for the rest of the day, because that is a routine that is not negotiable for me. That's a life decision that I've made. It's worked very well for me. And it's one of those things where, I woke up this morning, Aaron went to Orange Theory this morning. I did not go to Orange Theory this morning because I'm only doing Orange Theory twice a week now. I listened to Ben. And again, I'm even stronger and building more muscle, which is great. But
so
Aaron went
right.
to Orange.
What you're saying in a roundabout way is I was right.
I mean, like ish. Yeah,
You could put it that way.
You're right. You're always right. But I woke up the same time as Aaron. There's also another interesting story. So Aaron has been doing keto for a while, and she's been having a lot of success with it. Just enjoying that type of thing. And what I like about it is she's asking me for a lot of input around when I come off of it, how do I structure my nutrition and stuff like that. So it's well balanced. It's methodical. It's not just a shot in the dark type of thing. But so she can't take her morning blocks, which were basically like refined sugar
and glucose tablets.
Yeah, glucose tablets.
Yeah.
And they were embedded with caffeine as well. And so I've been making her pre-workout shakes, and I've been upping the dosage just slowly because I don't want to like.
Have you told her?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting her to a full scoop, but she's also very sensitive to caffeine. Like if she drinks a soda at like 2:00 in the evening, she's not going to bed till 2:00 in the morning. That caffeine impacts her that much. So I've been very slow to add onto it. So I'm about a half scoop right now with her, and she seems to be handling that well. So I woke up this morning, got her a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pre-workout. And, made myself a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pre-workout. And she went off to Orange Theory. I went off to go do my push session, and that was my routine, right? And, so those routines that define our day, that set us up for success, that allow us to have the affordability of success. You feel accomplished there. I got done my push session. I felt great. I felt awesome. I felt big. I felt, like a monster, and those are the types of accomplishments that your body needs to stimulate mental health and everything else. It activates repairs. It puts our body under stress and duress, which we're supposed to do. It's how we are designed and developed. So those routines make everything successful.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, and I know a couple of clients have felt the same because I've spoken to them recently, but when I'm out of routine, I'm a fucking shambles. I just don't know how to do life. Like, I'm an absolute nightmare. Like, if I'm away, and even, when I'm away, I'll still try and manage the very basic things to sort of set me up for the day. But if I'm away and I come back and everything's a bit skewed, like I just can't get through my day. I can't focus at the same time. I can't get through check-ins at the same rate. I just can't do anything if I haven't sort of set myself up for routine. So I was talking to a couple of guys here just back from vacation, and yes, okay, well, it's great to be away. They also look forward to coming back because they know that they can set up the structure. They do, they get up in the morning, they do their cardio in the morning, it sets them up for the day, they train at this time, and they can build out how their nutrition is, and like it just sort of is the sort of building blocks or the pieces of your day that you start to put together. For me, my routine at the minute is quite, well, in comparison to what it used to be, it's quite simplified, I guess. Get up, obviously, go to the bathroom, weigh myself, straight downstairs and out the back, because James has asked me to spend 10 to 15 minutes out in the sunlight, which I mean is sunlight, inverted commas, in the morning, just to sort of allow my body to know that it's morning time, wake up, etc. Come in.
Some great studies about that. I mean,
there's grounding. So I got my bare feet. Yeah. Now it's artificial grass, so I don't know how much I'm grounding, but it's the idea is there. You get the idea. So yeah, and then I come in, have my green shake, the blue nutrition stuff, creatine. I have I'll actually send you some, the AM priming and the electrolytes from Supplement Needs. Have that in my shake, and then start to make my breakfast, have my breakfast, and then come in here, journal, read, start work. And that's how my routine goes in the morning.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. I'll get, everybody in my company knows, at certain times I'm not available, especially early mornings. And they know that my routines are, hey, I get my workout and things like that. For my own health and success. So it's known in my company that same way. So again, you go through these things, and there are things that you don't change. You build around your schedules. You build around your routines. You build around your normal day. and those allow you to be successful in your journey for health and fitness and mental health and everything else that's out there. And, again, I know we talk about this a lot, but the benefits of, there's some crazy study, like post-COVID, like 74% of people were suffering from mental health issues. Like, I mean, that seems like an extremely large number. Like, that's like 3/4 of the population. I think, obviously a lot of that is due to human beings weren't meant to be kept up in boxes, and the anxiety that COVID caused. But I'm not saying we shouldn't have done that. What I'm saying is, our natural ability to go outside and to experience light and to get fresh air and to put our bodies through strain. Like, a lot of folks couldn't even go to gyms, associated with your own tribe or people. All of those things had some major impact on our overall mental health and anxiety and everything else that comes along with that. And, you look at these routines, there's so much science behind putting your body through strain, how it directly impacts your overall mental health in a positive manner. I've said this before in the past, but I've never felt as good as I have from a positivity perspective, from a mental health perspective, from my outlook on life, with my kids' life and everything else. All of those have really changed based off of my ability to create these habits, to create these routines that formed into routines that allowed me to really focus heavily on myself, which then now has made me a much better person. So, again, these small things that you do on a regular basis to instill these micro changes in your daily habits that become routines have monumental and big impacts down the road.
Yeah, and that's what comes back to, it may seem like a small thing now, but, even if we take it right back to whenever I started training, there's things that I do that I started then that was a small thing, like tracking my food was a small thing to start back then. It's given me the ability to understand nutrition. It's given me the ability to not actually have to track food now and understand food whenever I look at it and start to break it down. So all those things that potentially seem like a small thing at the time, like over time, the sort of compounding effect of those and how it grows. And then not only what that gives you from that single act that you do or you start and you build on is everything that sort of falls along with that. So again, we've spoken about this before, that whenever you're training in nutrition or in line, everything in life seems to be in line. Or as we said before, it's, having the discipline with your training and nutrition, the discipline falls into every other aspect of your life. So as extreme as it might sound, me 8 years ago or however long it's been, starting to track my food led me to what I do now, in a sense. Like, if I hadn't have started to track my food, there's no way I would have been a coach and been able to do this or been able to coach people across the world. So that one small act of starting to track my food, or even starting to go to the gym 3 times a week, has led me to this career and being able to help, thousands of people change their life across the span of 6 years.
That's the amazing thing with all of this. And just a side note from last week's, or I guess it was this week's release of podcast. I had somebody mention on Twitter that it was a timely podcast, and they had sent me a picture of their protein haul that they got from while they were traveling and put in their fridge. And also someone had mentioned on social media that if your hotel room does not have a fridge, you can call the service and front desk, and they will send you a portable. They'll bring up a portable electric fridge for you to put your food in almost every hotel. So that was something new that I wasn't aware of. But they showed had protein all ready to go inside, and while they're traveling, again, while you're traveling, your routines should, while they will be impacted, can still be routines that mirror or are similar in nature to the routines that you have at home. The gym's not going to be the same. You're not going to be familiar with the weights. You might have to supplement things with different, types of foods. But at the end of the day, those routines that you live by around, empirically saying, like, I will only, I will get a lift in today. I will get my protein goals. I will count my food and my calories. I will do this. I will do that. Those still can apply to you while you're traveling or doing those different things. So it's good to see that a lot of folks had some great feedback from last week's podcast talking about kind of like the life hacks that you can do while on the road and while traveling.
Yeah, and I think even knowing, like, if you're someone who travels a lot for work, even knowing, okay, right, these are my habits and routines that I do on a daily basis when I'm at home. This is like a travel version that, okay, I'm maybe not going to be able to get exactly the same thing in, but I know I can, if it were me, I can still get up, I can still go to the bathroom, if there's a scale, I can still weigh myself. I can still go outside and stand on the ground. I can still come in and take my supplements. Like, I can still do those basic things. Okay, I'm not in my own space, whatever, but I can still do those things when I'm traveling. Then you come into, you know, okay, right, how do I add to those? So is there something additional that I need to do while I'm away? Or if it's back here, is there something additional that I want to start to reintroduce? So I know you don't like them, but if I want to reintroduce cold showers, at what point do I fit that in my day? So I do that after I weigh myself because I'm in the bathroom, so I just get into the shower. Like, what's the best time for me to do that, to sort of start to incorporate it and stack off the back of the habits that you already have? On the topic of travel, and I don't know if I sent you, I didn't send it yet, but I found it. There's so I don't know if it's on TikTok or Instagram, but there's like hacks to how to cook in your hotel room. So the guy has like the iron upside down and like greaseproof paper, and he's cooking like a salmon fillet. And I'm like, I'm not up for that, but I can appreciate the effort that it goes into. And even like, the coffee pot where it's like, it drips the coffee into it, and it like, there's like the glass coffee jar, and it heats up in the bottom to keep it warm. He's like cracked an egg in it, like trying to fry an egg in it. And I'm like, I appreciate the lengths that you're going to, but there's absolutely no way that I would be able to, I would do those things.
You know, I used to hear the stories of how flight attendants and pilots would clean their underwear while they were traveling, and they used to apparently use the coffee machines. They would run the hot water through that and then basically clean. But that's disgusting. Obviously, it's glass that, even if you clean that, I mean, someone's, like, used underwear was literally sitting inside of a... Like, I'm not down with that.
There were a couple of flights that I've been on recently. Like, that is not a job that I envy it by any stretch of the imagination, being a flight attendant. No way. Like, no. Respect to those people.
Especially with today, everybody's emotions and, everybody's, high agitation rates and everything else. And especially, I'm sure, during the mask situations, and just a lot to deal with. So, but I mean, I will never actually use a coffee machine unless it's one of those ones that directly goes into the cup.
Because you never know if someone's pants have been in it.
Someone's pants have been in it. So that's like my rule of thumb I'm not like a germ guy. I really don't care about germs, like whatever. Like, I feel like germs are all around you at all times. Like, I just saw my dad posted on social media, which he's a nut, but it was something about how basically when you're sleeping at night, mites are basically having sex on your face or something like that. Like, I was like, first of all, what the hell are you posting? And second, that's terrifying.
Who's done this research?
It was actually it was a well-researched paper around when mites, I guess, have sex, and it's at night when you're sleeping on your face. So, that doesn't give you nightmares. I don't know what does, but I mean, I'm not a big guy on germs and things like that. It doesn't really bother me, but that's where I draw the line. If someone's like putting their dirty underwear in something that I'm drinking out of, I'm like, I'm good. I don't need that. Like, if I really don't need that cup of coffee first thing in the morning, I can wait until I get downstairs to where hopefully they cleaned it better in the first place. But, hopefully they weren't doing their chores in there.
Starbucks have me putting underwear through.
Yeah, all the pots like, oh, fresh things out of Starbucks, but no, it's but those types actually are really, really cool when you're traveling and you learn new things about doing something different, or gyms that you can go to that have access to, or things that you can keep up with your routines. Those are all important things to remember.
Yeah, and I think, it does just come down to, again, probably what we spoke about last week with travel is knowing what you can and can't do and not expecting it to be perfect. So whenever it comes to being away or whatever, or even if it's not whenever you're away and it's just a case of when life's busy, have the things that you do are non-negotiable to set you up for the day, whether it's, supplements, hydrate, caffeinate, start work, like as basic as you need it to be. And even like if you have no routine and you have no setup, like that's what you need to start with. You need to start with something that is basic, that's like one or two things. Look at what you already do that is a sort of routine in terms of it's the things that you do without even thinking about it, and then build them off the back of that. And that's sort of how you would build it. If anybody hasn't read it, I have about 15 copies of it over there at the minute. If you haven't read Atomic Habits, it's probably the best way to sort of set yourself up for building habits, setting routines. And actually, one of the good things that I took away from it is everything that we do is a habit in one way, shape, or form, whether it's good or bad. Getting rid of bad habits, it also teaches you how to do that. So it's the opposite of trying to introduce a good habit. So if I'm talking about coming down here and my book's sat on top of my keyboard, it's as available as it can be. It's right in front of me, so I'll get it done. If I wanted to stop eating a certain snack. I would just, well, number one, I would just keep it out of the house, so make it as difficult for me to have it as possible. So
Wheat Thins and Cheez-Its?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have wheat thins.
I'm saying for me,
for you, yes, for you,
yeah.
yeah. But you have tried that, and then all of a sudden they get fucking sneak back into the house.
Yeah, I've lost it. What I've done is I limit myself to 1 box of Wheat Thins a week. Is my rationing of Wheat Thins. So it's methodical.
You've come a long way.
I've come a long way. Yes, I'm not killing a box a day anymore.
As calories go up, though, you have the flexibility to do it.
I do. Well, I'll tell you last
not
night.
That I'm promoting it.
Well, last night I'll tell you, it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and I was like 50, 60 grams away from my protein goals, and I still had like 1,300 calories left. I'm like, shit, I got to eat 1,300 calories in like an hour and a half. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I did. And I had, I got 80 grams of protein, and, I had like, 2 things of Greek yogurt. I had some cottage cheese. I made myself a turkey breast sandwich with, like a whole wheat bread. And then at the end of the day, that was like 900 calories, and I, had some Wheat Thins, and that was good. I had, so it worked out perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have the luxury of the amount of calories that you have at the minute, so I can't relate. Like, I literally build my days around my food, and even though I've got one meal left, that will be my shrimp, quote unquote shrimp, and rice noodles, something forward to it. But even that, again, I've had this conversation, recently, and we've spoken about it before. Like, there was obviously a big movement in the industry, the fitness industry, to give clients as much freedom and flexibility as possible whenever it comes to nutrition, which is great because we know the reason that the majority of diets fail is because they're super restrictive and you can't live a normal life. But I think oftentimes it gets to the extreme levels of that, where actually you get to the point where, because you feel like you can have absolutely everything, you just don't know what to have, and then you end up just eating cheeseburgers, and that's not obviously what you want. So, I spoke to, again, a couple of guys, David Boyd and Michael Owens, this week, about sort of giving yourself like 3 or 4 options for each meal. And okay, it doesn't need to be exact, but if you have 4 options for breakfast, 4 options for lunch, 4 options for dinner that are in and around the same calories across the day, in and around the same amount of protein, so you can swap between them. And it means you're not coming to the end of the day and going, right, I'm going to have dinner, what am I going to have? And you're like opening the fridge and it's just everything is there. It's like, right, I can either have this, this, or this. And it gives you that sort of easier option, and then to sort of build it out around that. And then obviously, okay, this is the calories that I've used for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have an additional 300 calories here. I'm going to eat however many grams of Wheat Thins or Cheez-Its 300 calories worth is. Probably not many.
3,000 calories in Cheez-Its would be amazing, by the way. That'd be an awesome day.
Not 3,000.
Oh, 300. Okay, so gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the balancing effect of that too. But like those rituals that we build, the habits that we build, the routines that we build, and the routine around counting calories is a great example here, where you're sitting there counting your calories all day long, and your routine is, hey, I'm not going to go over my calories. And so I think that's one of the things where I think we need to stay within a confine too of allowing us to be in this routine, but also limit ourselves to what we're doing. So calorie counting is a great example. If you do calorie counting, that's a routine where I will always enter in my food as soon as I eat it. I just do it right there, because I know that if I don't do it, I'm going to forget a piece that I forgot about, or maybe I didn't remember the quantity size, or what brand I was using, and the macros are off.
You could go, and then you track your food at the end of the day and go, oh shit, I'm 1,000 calories over.
Right.
You fucked it then because you can't uneat it.
Now you're out of your routine, right? Your routine's not the same as you did before. So, again, those disciplines that we instill, and these are the things that can, obviously make you successful as you start to go through. So anyways, I think those are all good things that we all can work on, and those routines get refined and better over time, right? More efficient ways of doing it that fit better in your schedule. But as long as you're staying consistent with those are going to be the things that make you successful in your journey. Again, those 1% changes that you do have a monumental 50%, 100% impact, 500% impact on the road of your overall goals that you want to achieve from health and a fitness perspective. So stick to those routines. Keep up with it.
Yeah, like I said, literally one thing you can start today could change the whole trajectory of your life. Like myself, track my food.
Yep. I think that's it.
Yeah, nailed it.
Nailed it. That was another great week of a podcast, and we'll be back at you next week. And I always enjoy doing these. I tell you, the feedback that we get from the community is always awesome. It's great too because like you get your real loyal listeners that listen like as soon as the podcast comes out. They're like, I'm on my routine, when I'm walking or I'm doing this or I'm taking the dog out to get my steps in.
But that's part of the routine because on a Tuesday morning they know that they have the podcast. Yeah.
They have the podcast. That's their routine, right? And so that's awesome to hear that and the feedback that we get from you folks out there. But keep pushing it. Keep making yourself better. Just a little changes every day have a monumental impact on your overall health and performance. And get those goals in and those PRs and keep pushing yourself and challenging yourself every single day. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, last week was a timely one and it sort of hit home for a lot of people. So if there's anything that recommendations or people want us to talk about or people you want to bring on, just reach out to us and we'll set it up and if we can. Catch you next week.
Catch you next week. Later.